Hello and welcome to GreenBiz Studio. I'm Grant Harrison, Director for Sustainable Finance and ESG here at GreenBiz Group, and I'm excited to be speaking today with Shannon Schuyler, Chief Purpose and Inclusion Officer for the U.S. and Mexico at PwC. Shannon, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
It is great to see you again.
Right on. Well, Shannon, you spend your time at PwC probably doing about 1,000,001 things, but to encapsulate it, you bring together insights and perspectives from prior roles, including Chief Purpose Officer and Responsible Business Leader, as well as activating PwC's purpose to build trust in society and create a fulfilling employee experience that is for 75,000 employees. Drawing from this deep experience, how do you suggest companies position their business strategies to set themselves up for success as the understanding of ESG has evolved to encompass DEI as well?
Well, Grant, it's such a great question. And when you think about all the things, like you said, I think all of us do 1,000,001 things. But our goal is to really make sure that we're leaning into our purpose to build trust in society and solve important problems. And when you think about those important problems, so many are related to what's happening in society, what we are really doing to be able to uplift people who need our support, what's happening within our four walls around diversity, equity, and inclusion, what's happening around the climate and the role that we play, and then how we govern ourselves and to make sure that we're living up to the expectations and the responsibility that we have. And so my role is pretty incredible to be able to bring those things together and really make sure we're living up to our responsibility as an organization and doing what we should be doing for our people and communities, our clients, planet, et cetera, and all of our other stakeholders.
And you've been in leadership and responsible business for some time, and I'm in the space that I communicate with and work with the sustainable finance community specifically, but this is probably a theme across various verticals in this space. 2024 so far, 18 days into it, has been discussed as the year that kind of theory turns to action. So what would you say are the most important steps for companies who want to prioritize and move beyond theory to develop practical, tangible business plans? And like, what component is most crucial in ensuring these plans best align with the business's core purpose?
Well, one of the things that I'm really excited about is I think in 2024, we all just need to take a deep breath and take a step back. I think that so much has happened within society and things have been moving so fast that organizations have put out commitments, they put out goals, they put out where they want to be without necessarily completely reflecting and being intentional of how to get there. And is it able to get there based upon all the other constraints that they have? And so first and foremost, I think really making sure you're sitting down and looking across the broad outlook of what's happened over the last couple of years. What have your goals been? How have you come close to achieving them? And how is it a time now to change and to pivot? And to do that, you have to have everyone sitting around the table. And the things that you and I work on are really core to the business. And the only way that our business leaders know that is if we make that linkage. If we show that these things aren't something that's siloed in separate activities and functional areas, but truly core to the sustainability and the systemic difference that organizations need to make that are going to enable them to move into the future. And I do believe that now, with everything going on, is a good time to really understand words matter, the things we focus on matter, goals matter, and to make sure that we're being as tangible and as concrete, but also realize that we might have to be agile in order to really make sure that we're bringing everyone to the table.
Yeah, and I want to just say on my behalf and probably all the viewers' behalf here, the reminder to take a deep breath. That doesn't usually make it on the to-do list, and it's quite important given where we're at. So thank you for that reminder. Last question for you here is kind of the theme of getting everyone on board. This is not a siloed thing that we're doing here in our sustainability world. So one of the key tasks is getting all of the various stakeholders on board for this integrated ESG strategy that we're talking about here. Can you help us understand how that approach ties to long-term success for these organizations we're talking to here?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, again, going to realize that people look and they have different perceptions. When you say words like sustainability, when you say words like ESG, when you say D&I, it goes to certain things in people's minds, and that may or may not be, as an organization, where you want it to go. And so I think really taking a step back and making sure that we can more thoughtfully think about the issues at hand. We really focus on the whole term of equity. When you look at equity and you really are making sure that people have the ability to be successful, to have the livelihoods that they want to be able to be able to live where they want to live, we want the opportunities to be equitable. And what does that look like in the context of what we need to do in certain geographies when we look at issues around climate? What do we need to do when we look at ability to have new jobs and to close the wage gap? What do we need to do to make sure that we're allowing for people to be parts of organizations that maybe they haven't been? We really need to talk in a way that brings us together instead of pulls us apart. I truly believe that there's great strength when you think of these issues as you bring them together. Because if somebody today says, you know what, I just am really not sure that I want to talk about D&I, but they do want to talk about equity, and they want to talk about equity and what that means when you're living in Chicago and you're in a food desert, and what are the things that you can do. So it's being able to know enough about these things to pivot the conversation and to be very savvy to make sure that nothing is falling off the table, but in fact, you're bringing more to the table. And maybe people don't always realize that. And I think that takes opening up our minds, opening up the aperture, and really connecting some of the dots that we might not have done in the past.
Well, Shannon, your belief is palpable, and I might say a little infectious. We really appreciate you coming to bring that to us here in the studio and bring your wisdom experience from leading the space. So thank you for joining us. I look forward to catching up soon. Hopefully that's another time later this year in the year of action that we're talking about.
Certainly look forward to sitting down and catching up about this and everything else.
Right on. Well, thank you, Shannon. You've just heard from Shannon Schuyler, the U.S.'s Chief Purpose and Inclusion Officer at PwC.